While women have been featured in comedy films since the beginning of the motion picture, around the 1980s, studios seemed to realize women are funny and women can be big business. Over the past 4 decades, some of the sharpest, wittiest, most bonkers films have been centered on, and in some cases created by, women. We want to celebrate these funny ladies, so join the great pop culture debate as we attempt to name the best woman-led comedy film from 1980 to 2025. Once upon a time, there were 3 very different little girls who grew up to be 3 very different women, but they all have 3 things in common. They're brilliant, they're beautiful, and they work for me. My name is Eric Rezsnyak, and I'm your host. Please welcome my panelists for this episode. Good morning, angels.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Eric.
First up, she's here to beat these buffies down so she can go home. Brr, it's cold in here. It must be Joelle Boedecker.
The atmosphere is kind of chilly. Oh.
Ice, ice, ice.
You know,
Do your thing, Isis. Which I can't even say anymore.
I didn't want to
because
say
it's
ice.
terrorism.
I left it out on purpose.
It's not her fault. It's not her fault.
Nope.
It's not her fault. Next, she keeps getting told she should check her battery, but she couldn't hear you. It's the return of Amma Marfo.
I'm borrowing from a sequel, but it is so joyful to be here.
Thank you so much. Hail, girls. You know, Jerusalem's become a real drag. And finally, her perfect date is April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All she needs is a light jacket. It's the return of our Miss Congeniality, Maggie Hartman.
So excited to be back. Thank you for having me.
And just like Beverly Hernandez, my hobbies include eating as much Mexican food as I can get. And up in the producer booth, we have Derek Makita, who may or may not be wearing Prada. Gird your loins. And with introductions out of the way, let's grab this episode's bracket from greatpopculturedebate.com and get into our sassy 16. First up, the bulk of the panel is filing for continuance for ultimate #1 seed Legally Blonde from 2001. But Amma is finding the strength to stand beside 4 seed The First Wives Club from 1996. Amma, you don't own me an explanation, but please do put First Wives Clubs on display as you try to push it into round 2.
I don't expect to win here. But what I will say is Legally Blonde has never really done a whole lot for me as a movie, and I don't think that's just because I wanted to go to Yale my whole life rather than Harvard. But I also think just on the strength of The First Wives Club, it feels foundational in the sense that that was 3 women kind of holding a movie. That was 3 older women holding a movie. And I think that we have an interesting blend here of movies that are led by young female actresses and older female actresses. So the idea of women who are of that age to get replaced by younger women, that being as funny as it is fantastic. Like, it's Diane Keaton, height of her powers. It's Bette Midler, height of her powers. Goldie Hawn, just like, it's so great. So for all of those reasons, I feel like I wanted to go with the one that kind of walked so something like Legally Blonde could.
Great argument. I'm curious, Maggie, did she swear, or are you sticking with Legally Blonde?
As much as I do love First Wives Club, I am going to stick with Legally Blonde.
Joelle, is it going to be Legally Blonde or First Wives Club?
It's still Legally Blonde, but I truly love First Wives Club, and it's almost its own category, and we need to do something with that at some point.
So, #1, a Best Goldie Hawn film will be released in 2027. We're already working on it, so that is coming. I hate that these two are up against each other because they're both great films. That's an indication to you how tough this bracket is going to be. Yeah, there are 16 awesome films. There are no bummers, only bangers in this bracket. I would love to see both of these in round 2. They both deserve to be. But if I have to, I was going for the comedy on this one. Which film made me laugh more? It was Legally Blonde. But in terms of what film I think has the more female empowerment, I would say it's probably First Wives Club, but I am giving it to Legally Blonde here. So it will continue into round 2. Next, it's Streep on Streep violence, as the panel is split between 2 seed Death Becomes Her from 1992 and 3 seed The Devil Wears Prada from 2006. Joelle, tell us why Death Becomes Her will remain forever beautiful in your mind. Maggie, tell us why you'd be blue, cerulean, if Prada went out of fashion before round 2. Joelle, please go first.
I will start by saying, this is controversial, but me and Devil Wears Prada are not the best of friends. It's good, not great, and not at all funny to me, I guess. Quotable, but not funny. I don't know.
That's an interesting distinction.
Death Becomes Her is a visual shock from beginning to end. Body horror comedy is a thing I didn't know at the age when this movie came out, and I was at a sleepover party watching this movie with my friends, and we were too young to see it. We were very confused, and we were laughing the entire time without understanding any of the, sex jokes and whatnot. visually it sticks with you. Like, you will literally never think of that movie without thinking of the hole in the stomach, or the faces melting at the end, and the cackling at the funeral. Like, there's so much about it. See, like, literally just thinking about the cackling in the back of the funeral has you howling, because that is a moment that it could never be done by anyone but Meryl and Goldie. Something about that movie. And is that Isabella Rossellini? I always forget.
It is Isabella Rossellini doing
Like,
basically
naked.
like, it is basically Pulitzer Prize level in tit jewelry is what's going on
Yeah.
in that movie. And it is spectacular.
Yep.
I say this as a profoundly gay man. That moved me.
She is something I didn't understand when I saw it the first time, and watching it recently, a few times recently again, I'm just like, how does she exist in this movie? Like, the casting is both nonsense and perfect. And now they have a musical. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good.
The
I can
musical is
talk to you about that.
fantastic.
Okay, good. We will talk about it. But I want Maggie to give her argument for Devil Wears Prada, which is also turned into a musical as well.
Yes, so Devil Wears Prada, the movie, which came out in 2006, is so relevant that it's still bringing us a sequel 20 years later.
Yep.
You've got to talk about the stellar cast of Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, which, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of her breakout roles.
For sure, her breakout role, yeah.
Yeah, and then, of course, Stanley Tucci is involved with it. Eric, like you said earlier, there are so many quotable lines from this. The Cerulean monologue. You've got florals for spring, groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. I also love the fact that the writer for the movie was female. This is also based off of a book that was written by a female, and there was a resurgence of popularity with the book once this movie came out, which makes my little book heart so much happier. Then you've got the Miranda trope with the boss-ass bitch. You've got Olivia Pope from Scandal. You've got Annalise Keating from How to Get Away with Murder. It is so relevant that even a Simpsons episode parodied The Devil Wears Prada. So that's why I've got to give it to Devil Wears Prada.
All
And
right.
that's all.
That's all. That's all. Amma Marfo, is it going to be Death Becomes Her or Devil Wears Prada for you?
I'm actually moving over to Death Becomes Her. And I think, Joelle, the idea that you brought about of being quotable but not funny is a really interesting one. And it hadn't occurred to me, in the sense that I think I can recall more from The Devil Wears Prada, just like line-wise.
Yep.
That's Aileen Brosh McKenna, who also gave us Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. But Death Becomes Her, I think, is funnier. So if we're going on like female-led and comedy, it does win on both of those. So I am moving over.
I am actually wearing a Miranda Priestley t-shirt right now. But that being said, I'm going to give it to Death Becomes Her, because I do think it is an absolute uproariously funny film. And I think that chemistry between Goldie and Meryl is incredible. And don't get me wrong, the Meryl and Anne Hathaway chemistry is great, but in a completely different way. I'm going to give it Death Becomes Her, and that will continue into round 2. Next, 75% of the panelists don't want to kick the habit when it comes to one-seed Sister Act from 1992, but Amma is trying to hold on to 4-seed Bridesmaids from 2011 for just one more day. Amma, tell us why you'll always stand up for Bridesmaids.
I do want it on the record that this is not me booting Sister Act, and in fact... on our recording right now, I am named Sister Mary Clarence. I love this movie. But there was something about the experience of seeing Bridesmaids in a theater, like getting a group of female friends together and watching it, and kind of seeing, as someone who's always been super interested in comedy, like the idea that something like that could exist. Like, it's all women, and it's hilarious, and it's gross, and it's a little bit romantic, and all of those things being able to coexist together. It was just something so explosive. And then I think about what so many of those women were able to do before and since as a result of it. Paul Feig is one of very few directors I trust to direct women in this way. Yeah. It's just so, so, so special. And I love the Sister Acts. I love Whoopi Goldberg, massive influence in comedy. But there was just something that this kind of gave way to. It was like, wait, we can do this. Women can do this. And so much cool stuff has come as a result of it. So on impact, I wanted to give it to Bridesmaids.
Oh, that is a really good argument, Amma. Maggie, did she sway you, or are you sticking with Sister Act?
I think I am going to stick with Sister Act.
All right. Joelle, are you sticking with Sister Act, or did she sway you?
No, I'm sticking with Sister Act. I think it also had an impact in 1992. It's longer ago, and it wasn't quite the same way. This is a hard matchup, but I have to stick with Sister Act.
There's always one where I groan when I have to choose out loud.
It was all of these.
And
All 8 of these.
Yeah, there were a lot of them for sure.
100%.
And this one hurt.
Amma, you swayed me. And I think for me, it was the point that there was a palpable shift in film because of Bridesmaids that absolutely happened. We got a lot of Trainwreck probably would not have happened without Bridesmaids. Booksmart might not have happened without Bridesmaids. And I might be talking out of my ass here, but I'm pretty sure these were all kind of after domino effects. And Bridesmaids is laugh out loud, hilarious, funny. Sister Act is very funny and very quotable, and I love it. And it's a great Whoopi performance. It doesn't matter because Sister Act is the 1 seed and Bridesmaids is the 4. If you are pissed that Bridesmaids is going out in round 1, I get it. We're taking a shit in the street. It's happening. But I do want to direct you to our Best Bridesmaids quote episode, which exists, I want to say, from season 10. So we talk about this movie a lot over there. But we will be moving Sister Act into round 2. Next, it's another 3/4 split as the bulk of the panel is clocking in with 2 seed 9 to 5 from 1980. But Joelle is cheering on 3 seed Bring It On from 2000. Joelle, tell us those aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers as you shake your pom-poms for Bring It On.
2 words, Sparky Pilastri.
Sparky Pilastri.
A name you can't forget, and a name that the moment someone says spirit fingers, you think Sparky Pilastri. No, this movie is it is beautiful and stupid and weird, and nothing like it existed at the time. I do think this is one of those movies that begat more of it's okay for women to curse, and it's okay for women to just be bold and talk about sex and not not be Puritanian a little bit. It gave us Eliza Dushku and Kirsten Dunst in a buddy comedy you never thought you needed. It's not a perfect movie. There's clear problems with it. It sort of tries to address the problems head on while also not doing it enough justice.
Correct.
But I freaking love it. And I watched it again the other day and I was like, damn, I love this movie. I think it's a pure nostalgia problem. And 9 to 5 doesn't have that nostalgia for me, though I fully respect it.
Amma, did she sway you, or are you sticking with 9 to 5 here?
No, I'm sticking with 9 to 5. I think some of the problems that Joelle alludes to are a little bit difficult for me personally to get over. When you are of the Clovers, it's hard to root for this movie as hard as other people root for it. I thought it was one thing. I was a gymnast who was kind of in a feud with cheerleaders, and then I got older and I was like, actually, there's a bigger problem here, the one that you alluded to. So in this instance, I cannot be swayed, but it's not for a lack of a good argument.
All right. Maggie, are you sticking with 9 to 5?
Sticking with 9 to 5. It brought Dolly into the mainstream, so I've got to show it some love.
This is a true story. Saw this at opening night in the theater with producer Bob from this podcast, Take a Drink. And that opening sequence happens. And I swear to you, if there was a camera watching me, I would have sat there slack-jawed in rapt attention. And then the whole cheer routine ends. And I distinctly remember turning to him to say, this is the best fucking thing I have ever seen in my life. And that was the whole, I could do the entire cheer, instantly. Walking out of that theater, I remember the whole thing. It was so good. The thing that he and I both said about this movie is it is better than it has any right to be. With the problems understood. But it's up against 9 to 5. And 9 to 5 is, I think, a Rosetta Stone for a lot of the films we're going to be talking about. So for that reason, it is going to move into round 2. Next, the panel is evenly split between 4 seed Easy A from 2010 and 1 seed Miss Congeniality from 2000. Amma, tell us why you'll see Scarlet, or at least red, if Easy A flunks out of our bracket this early. Maggie, give us a pageant answer as to why Sandy Bullock's Undercover Cop should move into round 2. Maggie, please go first.
Perfect. Thank you. As we addressed in the Patreon pre-warm-up episode, you give me a pageant movie and I am all about it. This movie is so fantastic. You've got suspense, you've got humor, you've got mischief, you've got female friendship. What else could you want? You've got a makeover montage that is stuff that the dreams are made of. Let's also talk about the fact that it's still relevant, because how many TikToks have I seen of people doing the 1 in a million dance recently? It's amazing. This movie, it does follow kind of a regular tomboy, hardened girl, gets to get in touch with her feminine side and, really discover who she is on the inside as well as the outside. And I've got to give it to Miss Congeniality for even just the end of the movie, the very climax of it, where Sandra Bullock goes running for that crown because there's a bomb, spoiler alert. But just that visual alone is enough to push this out into the next round for me.
All right, Amma, talk to us about Easy A.
I love both these movies. We were talking in the warm-up about how there's like a category of girl movie that my dad loves. Man, Kofi Marfo loves Miss Congeniality. I don't know what it is about it, but he loves it. I love it as well, but again, he's 34 years older than me and a man. That's odd. What I will say about Miss Congeniality that I always struggle with is really a larger issue with like, what if this conventionally attractive actress was hot? And it's like, she's already hot. Like, what are we doing? So part of the premise kind of fails for me at the start. I think by comparison, it's like, what if a girl who was cute but weird just got to be weird and wasn't afraid of it? That I can get behind. It's so well written, so sharp. It came out in that era where theaters were like, we don't think the kids read. What if we trick them into reading by making this book into a movie? So the Scarlet Letter playing out in that way. I live fairly close to Nathaniel Hawthorne's house. I feel like he would probably have feelings about it. So there are so many really strong women in this. Patricia Clarkson, who most of us aren't really accustomed to seeing be funny, so funny in this. So I think it kind of brought out the comedic instincts of a lot of folks that maybe we either hadn't seen as much or didn't know they could get to this degree. So for that reason, apologies to Sandra Bullock as well as Michael Caine, I am giving it to Easy A.
Joelle, where are you going here? Is it going to be Easy A or is it going to be Miss Congeniality?
Fuck, I don't know. Like literally, this is like Michael Caine versus the Tooch. This is Emma Stone versus Sandra Bullock. I love these movies, and this was the one that I literally stared at it and could not decide. Part of me wants to lean towards Easy A because I love the heck out of a modern retelling. I love every single one I've ever seen, even the bad ones. This is a really good one. Miss Congeniality was an unexpected thing because I don't know damn thing about pageants, and I watched this movie and I was sucked in. And Miss Rhode Island is just my favorite side character, and every time I see her on screen, I love her so much. I think I'm switching to Miss Congeniality. I think I was Easy A before.
I'm giving it to Miss Congeniality. It is just an unexpected pleasure. That's how I would describe it. I guess both of these movies are, but like Miss Congeniality knocked me out when I saw it in the movie theater. So it will continue into round 2. Next, the bulk of the panel is in tune with 3-seed Pitch Perfect from 2012, but I am holding out for a hero and for 2-seed My Big Fat Greek Wedding from 2002 to advance. I will try my best to explain why this should not be a fait accompli at the cost of Greek Wedding. Those are the worst puns I've written for this entire episode, I promise you. So I love that these two are up against each other, as they are both unlikely franchises written by women, championed by a Hollywood actress that would produce the film, and both made absolute gobs of money at the theater. Oppa! My Big Fat Greek Wedding was written by and stars Nia Vardalos, who catapulted into stardom basically overnight when this little $3 million picture became a sensation, ultimately grossing over, wait for it, $368 million. That is one of the all-time greatest returns on investment in Hollywood, and kudos to Rita Wilson and Tom Hanks, who actually came on to produce it. I'm not going to tell you that My Big Fat Greek Wedding is the funniest movie on this list. I'm not going to tell you it's the most well-made movie on this list, but it is a lovely ensemble comedy anchored by Vardalos, playing unassuming Greek-American Tula, who navigates her unexpected later-in-life romance with her overbearing Greek family. John Corbett is fully John Corbetting in this movie, but the real standouts are Lainey Kazan as Tula's mother, and especially breakout Andrea Martin as her bonkers aunt, whose various non-sequiturs steal the show. That whole bebopsy sequence is so quotable and so brilliant that alone sold the movie to me. But it is up against Pitch Perfect. And Joelle, have I swayed you? You're sticking with Pitch Perfect.
I just want to say bunt. Yeah. I mean, what's not to love about Big Fat Greek Wedding? Pitch Perfect is more for me, and I think it's more women led, it's more women empowered. Nia Vardalos is incredible, and like it's the singular story of one woman that was allowed to marry, and Pitch Perfect is a lot more empowered, I think. So that's my choice.
Amma, is it going to be Pitch Perfect or My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
In some ways, I think the story of getting this movie made is kind of like the big female fronted thing, because Nia Vardalos wasn't super influential in Hollywood. She had a story. She wanted to tell it. She got not lucky, but she found herself in the position where two Hollywood powerhouses were like, let's get this thing made. And I love that story. But there is something about the volume of women in Pitch Perfect. And again, I think there's an element of nostalgia factor to this. Like, I was working in colleges at the time. It holds a bigger piece of my heart. So much as I do love My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I am sticking with Pitch Perfect.
And Pitch Perfect was also a career accelerator. Like, so many stars were birthed from that movie. Maggie, is it going to be Pitch Perfect or My Big Fat Greek Wedding for you?
I'm going to be sticking to Pitch Perfect, even though My Big Fat Greek Wedding told me that Windex can solve all problems.
All problems. This is a known fact, yes. All right, so we will be moving Pitch Perfect into round 2. Next, it's another 3/4 split, as most of the panel wants to play another inning with the Rockford Peaches and 4-seed A League of Their Own from 1992. But Amma is saying as if and is pushing for 1-seed Clueless from 1995 to advance to round 2. Amma, tell us why you would be totally bugging if Clueless were grounded in round 1.
You know, I wouldn't actually. Like, here's the thing. I tend to be the pedantic asshole who is always like, but what do we mean? Female-led being one of those things, comedy being the other. This decision was purely based on which I found to be on its face funnier.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit in the warm-up about how if A League of Their Own counts as a female-led comedy, which it does, then Hustlers should also count as a female-led comedy, which it is. At the time that I was doing this bracket, it really pained me to make this decision. This might have been the hardest one. But I ended up going on the side of the one that is on its face funnier, but I honestly am not tied to that today. We do these well in advance. You're asking me now. I feel the opposite about it. I would love to put A League of Their Own forward.
Well, with that defense, Maggie, has she swayed you, or are you sticking with The League of Their Own?
I am sticking with A League of Their Own. You can't beat that ensemble cast.
Joelle, is it going to be A League of Their Own, or is it going to be Clueless?
Yeah, this is another heartbreaker. Can I just say, this is unrelated, but I think this is very important that everyone in 2026 knows this. In the books of the Heated Rivalry series, the author must love the hell out of Clueless because every character says as if on a regular basis. I love Clueless so much, but we talked about it a lot in the rom-com one from a few years ago. I'm comfortable with that getting retired. There's been an episode of Clueless quotes, right?
Yep.
While it is potentially funnier, it is not as female driven, and I'll stick to that term, as A League of Their Own.
This is exactly why, and maybe this is not a good reason to vote against it because it's very meta and has nothing to do with the debate. As I think, is Clueless the better comedy out of these two films? Probably yes. But in terms of, like, what movie have we discussed ad nauseum on this podcast before? It's Clueless, which I think has won multiple episodes of the Great Pop Culture Debate.
Yeah,
I don't think we... Yeah,
there's no love. There's no love lost for Clueless in the ecosystem of this podcast. I promise you, I would have fought for it if I felt like it needed to go forward. But A League of Their Own, which we talked about in the warm up, and I've been told to remember to say, the highest grossing baseball movie, irrespective of gender. How could it not? I want to keep talking about it.
And we've not talked about it on this podcast, so we're going to talk about it more because A League of Their Own is moving into round 2. Finally, in round 1, the majority of the panel wants to recycle the plastics and move 2-seed Mean Girls from 2004 into round 2, while I am going full throttle for 3-seed Charlie's Angels film from 2000. I'll try my best to defend Natalie, Alex, and Dylan in this hilarious action comedy. Eduardo, move me. I do not think we've ever discussed either Charlie's Angel film on this podcast, and I am here to say we are the poorer for it. Circa 2000, Eric Rezsnyak was completely obsessed with these films. I bought the DVDs. I own the soundtracks. I loved everything about them, and I will hear absolutely nothing against it. I think they're a riot, and I cannot think of any other movies like them, both on this list or just in general. It's a high-budget continuation of the 1970s Aaron Spelling TV show, already a feather in my cap there. The 2000 Charlie's Angels movie sees Drew Barrymore, who also produced this, a peak fame Cameron Diaz, and an emergent Lucy Liu playing brilliant, badass private detectives / spies for the still unseen Charlie, delivering orders via speakerphone. Yes, it's an action movie with some outrageous fight scenes and some explosions courtesy of thoroughly 2000s filmmaker McG, but it is also also very much a comedy, and all three of these women are a goddamn delight in it. The film is successful. It spawned, in my opinion, a very solid sequel. They tried to reboot the franchise at least 2 more times, and no, both of them failed, even though that Kristen Stewart movie is not bad. But the brassy, women-powered entry in this movie is arguably the best of the bunch, and I'm bummed it's going out here. That being said, I'm pretty sure it is out in round 1. Amma, are you sticking with Mean Girls?
I am. I am sticking with Mean Girls.
Joelle, Mean Girls or Charlie's Angels?
Sorry, it's unquestionable. It's Mean Girls.
Maggie, Charlie's Angels or Mean Girls?
Same here. No question, no contest. It's got to be Mean Girls.
Well, fuck my drag, right? All right, so we will be moving Mean Girls into round 2. And that's the end of round 1. We're going to take a break to check in on Liesl Van Rumen to see about a certain magic potion. Siempre viva! We'll be right back. Hello, listeners. We hope you're enjoying this week's episode. If you've ever wondered how we land on the 16 finalists in our brackets, head over to our website, greatpopculturedebate.com. That's where you'll find the public polls for upcoming topics, and your votes decide what we debate next. While you're there, make sure to check out the listener bracket for this episode so you can play along with us at home. You can also explore related episodes, like Best Clueless Quote, Best 90s Romantic Comedy, and Best Movie Musical, all available right now. And don't forget about Patreon. Our supporters get access to exclusive episodes, 2 available at all times, with new Patreon-only episodes dropping twice a year. Visit patreon.com/greatpopculturedebate to sign up and listen to Best Oscar-winning original song and Best Legion of Superheroes member today. We also have a weekly newsletter packed with updates on movies, TV, music, video games, and more. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And once again, visit greatpopculturedebate.com for upcoming polls, TV recaps, and tons of additional bonus content. We'll be right back after this. And we are back for round 2 of our best woman-led comedy film debate. The best place to follow us is on Blue Sky at gbcd.bsky.social or at Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram or TikTok. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube or even Twitch, where we're posting original video and gaming content, as well as the video versions of these episodes. Now, let's get into round 2, where I will try not to look so constipated when I dress up like a frigid bitch. Prop to Elle Woods for one of cinema's greatest reads. First up, I think it may be another platinum experience for One Seed Legally Blonde, which looks like it has scored another unanimous decision from our jury over 2 Seed Death Becomes Her. Amma, you're not completely on board with Legally Blonde, but you also recognize that you're not going to win here, right?
Yeah, I know when I'm beat. I've been beat several times in this episode, and I do not expect that to end now, so I can responsibly and maturely cede ground here.
Actually, both of these have been turned into musicals, and actually both of these musicals are very good. I know we're talking about the movies, but I do want to put in a plug. The Death Becomes Her musical on Broadway is significantly different from the movie, and it is absolutely hilarious. Maggie, you said you saw it.
Oh, I got to see the pre-Broadway tryout up in Chicago, and it had me rolling for days, and I could not wait till the original cast recording would come out so I could listen to it every day.
Laugh riot. I think it's funnier than the film, but we haven't talked about Legally Blonde, the movie, at all. Joelle, do you mind talking us through it?
Yeah, I feel like the journey of me going to see this movie for the first time is the journey of like how this movie succeeded, because I went in as a skeptical brunette that was like, oh, a dumb blonde woman goes to Harvard or Yale or whatever, I don't know. And I sit down in this movie and I'm like, this is going to be so stupid. Everything's pink. I was 17 at the time, so, you know. No, Reese Witherspoon sold me within seconds. Like every second of this movie, I was like, oh no, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is funnier. This is sillier. This is, I didn't know what satire was, but this is satire. Jennifer Coolidge, just saying, the whole thing with the dog. Yep. I think that was like in the commercial for the movie. Like I already knew that scene was happening and I was excited. Just everything from beginning to end. Like every character was at their best. Every moment maybe predictable, but also not in certain ways. It was the details that weren't predictable. Every time she figured something out, or every time someone gave her like a small way through, she like the brilliance came out, and you're like, where did this dumb girl from California school come from? Not dumb at all. She has a pink computer. What? This is my monologue watching this movie. Since then, it had the sequel, is what it is. There was a lot of animal rights stuff going on in that one. It had the musical, which I don't know how many people loved the musical as much as I did, but I could
love it.
quote that musical beginning to end.
It's fantastic.
In
So
fact,
good.
I'll watch the movie and conflate moments from the musical because there's some things that changed, and I'll start singing Gay or European, and it's the wrong. It made me love Reese Witherspoon. I probably already did, but it made me love her more. Everything about Legally Blonde was just so unexpected and so wonderful, and exactly what you want from a female-fronted comedy. It's a surprise. It is funny as hell, and Linda has legs.
Yep, excellent. Maggie, are you sticking with Legally Blonde here?
I am going to stick with Legally Blonde. Once again, the musical is just phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, look it up. You can probably find the MTV filmed version on YouTube somewhere.
And the competition challenge where they were casting for it.
To be the next Elle Woods, yeah. I hear Amma's voting for Death Becomes Her here, and I totally get it, but I am going to give it to Legally Blonde. It will continue into our final four. Next, the bulk of the panel wants to stay on the run with Whoopi Goldberg and One Seed Sister Act, but I am pouring myself a cup of ambition as I pull for a second shift for 2 seed 9 to 5. Maggie, tell us why Sister Act is superior, Mother Superior specifically. I will get down to business as I try to save 9 to 5. Maggie, please go first.
Sister Act is another one of those movies that you just look back on it and it just warms your heart. You've got the mob aspect, you've got the thrilling aspect, you've got the holier than thou aspect with the nuns, and you have a Reno lounge singer needing to hide out in a convent in California. It has a stellar cast with Whoopi Goldberg, Maggie Smith, Mary Wicks, Kathy Najimy, and Wendy McKenna. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Excellent. We also have a wonderful sequel with Sister Act 2. So, this is obviously something that played well during the first round. It got $231 million against a $31 million budget. But if you're looking for a sweet musical comedy, this is definitely the movie for you.
Again, both of these movies have been turned into Broadway musicals. Sister Act is great. I've never seen the 9 to 5 one. So let's talk a little bit about 9 to 5. It's the oldest film we have on this bracket, and it clocks in at almost 45 years old. It was incredibly progressive at that time. It was dealing with misogyny and sexism in the workplace. It was dealing with the gender pay gap, both of which are still unfortunately relevant in the 2020s. It also featured elaborate sequences in which the central characters fantasized about murdering their boss. And what's more relatable than that, ladies and gentlemen? The trio of proven comic Lily Tomlin, usually dramatic actress Jane Fonda, and the entirely new to acting Dolly Parton proved an unbeatable, iconic combination. And you can see that camaraderie on the screen. The script, which was co-written by a woman, Patricia Resnick, isn't as sharp as some of the other films on this list, I'll give you that, but it likely influenced more than one of these other films. It has gone on to be adapted as a short-lived TV series, the Broadway musical, as we said, and allegedly a reboot is in the works, produced by Jennifer Aniston, with Sydney Sweeney, Ariana Grande, and Zendaya reportedly considered for the cast. Violet, do you have any more rat poison? Asking for a friend. Amma, is it going to be 9 to 5, or is it going to be Sister Act?
There's something about me that really wants to honor the fact that 9 to 5 is the oldest film on the list, especially because I had the opportunity the last time I went to South by Southwest to watch a documentary, as yet still undistributed, called Still Working 9 to 5, that talks a little bit about the persistent, the impact that 9 to 5 had at the time on the nature of the workplace for women, as well as some of the challenges we're still facing that, you could watch 9 to 5 and be like, I'm still facing that in the workplace. My mom is still facing that in the workplace. So I think there's a cultural impact piece, again, that spreads a little bit wider. We talked a little bit about this last round with Sister Act, but whereas something like Bridesmaids opened an opportunity for more women to star in things, for a good bit of time, the degree of star power that was afforded from Sister Act was really only Whoopi Goldberg. It was she can carry a movie, and we have learned the Hollywood lesson was put Whoopi Goldberg in movies. We've since gotten to a place where you have a star vehicle like that, and they're how many women can we lift up? And again, it's not Whoopi Goldberg's fault, but that is something that I always think about with something like this. Female-led comedy is how many women get to lead and who was then empowered by it. And I think both fictionally and in real life, 9 to 5 has a bigger impact on that front.
Okay. Joelle, is it going to be 9 to 5, or is it going to be Sister Act?
I really like that argument, Amma. I was leaning towards Sister Act because this is truly one of my favorite movies. And the sequel is also truly one of my favorite movies. And I know that whole movie, beginning to end, because that was one of those basic cable movies that I could watch 1,000 times. So every word of it. And Lauryn Hill, just saying.
Lauryn Hill, Just a Touch of Love.
I like, there's a part of me that wants to say 9 to 5 because of maybe it's like guilt. But I think my heart is with Sister Act.
So that would give us 2 for Sister Act and 2 for 9 to 5. And Sister Act is the higher seed. It's a 1 seed. So Sister Act would continue into the final 4. I do want to point out, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think this movie was actually written for Bette Midler and she couldn't do it. And
Yes.
Whoopi was who they went to afterwards. I don't think Sister Act would have worked nearly as well if Whoopi wasn't in it. This is
I
a
completely
Whoopi
agree.
Goldberg joint.
Yeah.
And it is like her charisma basically turned this into the juggernaut that it is. So we will be moving Sister Act into the final 4. Next, I had no idea where this one was going to go. So we're just going to go around the horn. It's 1 seed Miss Congeniality up against 3 seed Pitch Perfect. I would like to start at the back of the pack with Maggie. Which one's it going to be for you?
You know, even though I defended Miss Congeniality in the last round, I got to give this to Pitch Perfect. I love the classic Boys versus Girls. I love how this really brought a cappella into the mainstream. And excuse me, how could you go wrong with that movie?
Mm-hmm. All right. Joelle, is it going to be Pitch Perfect or is it going to be Miss Congeniality?
I was just thinking, by the way, watching Bring It On and then Pitch Perfect, that there's a lot of like this, you're a cheer-tater or whatever, like instead of a dictator.
Yep.
And like then it's like these two have a lot of DNA in common. Miss Congeniality, yes, I love it a lot. And we talked about it a bunch. I think I'm sticking with Pitch Perfect. I don't even know if I'm sticking. I don't think this was anything in my bracket before. So Pitch Perfect.
Is it going to be Pitch Perfect or Miss Congeniality?
July too. I'm in uncharted territory. I am giving it to Pitch Perfect on this one.
So I think we have 3 for Pitch Perfect, right? So it doesn't really matter where I vote here. So I'll vote for Miss Congeniality. I do think there is, Sandra Bullock obviously had already become a star, but I think this was one of the movies that made her, okay, she's not just the woman from Speed and Speed 2.
And The Net.
And The Net. This was really her kind of coming into her comedic roots, and God, she's funny in this movie. But also that whole sequence with Sing, where she taught people how to do self-defense. I was like, that's actually news you can use. Look at this movie out here telling the children how to get it done. But it doesn't matter. Pitch Perfect will continue into our final 4. Finally, in round 2, the panel is split between athletes and mathletes, and 4 seed A League of Their Own and 2 seed Mean Girls. Amma, it's time to bring out the burn book and tell these listeners why I am a fugly skank who is not to be trusted. Mean Girls should continue. I will be an athletic supporter as I explain why A League of Their Own used to be my playground and it still should be. I'll go first. So this is a tough one because A League of Their Own is equal parts comedy and drama. I think that's true for everybody here. We can all agree with this. It's not a pure comedy. It is both of those things. But Mean Girls is a flat-out comedy. I love Mean Girls, and I think it is probably the better comedy here, but I at least want to talk a little bit more about A League of Their Own. So, directed by Penny Marshall, so you've got another woman behind the camera here. It features career best performances from Lori Petty, from Madonna, from Rosie O'Donnell. Gina Davis is awesome in the lead role. I think she's had some other very strong roles. Even the tertiary players on the team are brilliant in this movie. It's lovely. It's a portrait of the power of sisterhood and the possibility of social change. The one big demerit for me, of course, is that a man is a central character in this movie. Tom Hanks is essential to this picture in a way that I don't think there are men that are really that essential to Mean Girls. And since the topic, just take Amma's pedantic role here. This is a woman-led comedy film. Yes, obviously the women are the core of League of Their Own, but Tom Hanks's role is really important. Amma, talk to us about Mean Girls.
So earlier I had talked about when A League of Their Own was up against Clueless, the idea of female-led and also a comedy. And in the sense that A League of Their Own transcends genre, Mean Girls really does not. It is interested in being a comedy, and it does that beautifully. It takes its source material from a book that is actually not at all that funny. It's from a nonfiction book that talks about the nature of cliques in high school and what it does to women, and it transformed it into this eminently relatable, hilarious movie that then also got turned into a musical, that then got turned into a it was a movie, and then it was a musical, and then it was a movie musical. And I think there's just something about this story and the way that they chose to tell it. So many incredible lines. I was thinking about Kevin G this morning. Don't let the haters stop you from doing your thing. I frequently in the last 6 months have had opportunities to be like, you can't ask people why they're white. I don't know why, but it keeps coming up. It's eminently quotable, but quotable in a way that also aligns with the humor. I would love to see League of Their Own go through. I feel so passionately about that movie. Fun fact, my mom is famous in our family for only being awake for about the first 20 minutes of movies. So most of her memories of it are of John Lovitz's characters and his one-liners. So like whenever we're in a place that's a lot of grass, she's like, hey, cowgirls, there's the grass, don't eat it. And like, as far as she's concerned, that's the movie. But yeah, it's a tough one. But if we're going female-led comedy, I think Mean Girls is more interested in that and does so more effectively. A League of Their Own, also a very dramatic making of. Beautiful book by Aaron Carlson called No Crying in Baseball, essentially an oral history of the movie. Highly recommend. It does not sound like I'm fighting for Mean Girls. I promise I am. But yes.
Thank you. Maggie, is it going to be A League of Their Own or is it going to be Mean Girls?
It's going to be Mean Girls for me. Once again, that musical is just phenomenal.
It's weird that that's becoming a rubric in this. It has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but it's weird that it keeps happening. Joelle, is it going to be A League of Their Own or Mean Girls?
I was just going to say, at least half the movies on this bracket had a musical at some point, I think. Like, it's wild. I wanted to add on to your comment about A League of Their Own. As I was watching it, I observed that all of the comedy actually comes from the men for the most part. And the women are doing their thing, being powerful and strong and amazing, and the men are reacting in comedic ways to them. And that's John Lovitz's little shitty comments, and it's Tom Hanks and No Crying in Baseball. Even little Stillwell Angel is running around stealing the fucking scenery with his "You're gonna lose."
Gary Marshall has 2 scenes?
And like the moment he's on screen, I'm like, this is delightful. And it as I was watching it with this lens, it was driving me nuts. And I was like, this is not the comedy part is not female led, and that's where my change of heart, because I had this movie going all the way to the end, A League of Their Own. But that's where my change of heart is. So I am with Mean Girls.
I will say Rosie O'Donnell is very funny in this movie. Yeah. And I don't know how much of it was scripted, how much of it was ad-libbed, but the whole exchange between her and Madonna, where Madonna's like, what if I was just to go to catch a ball and oops, my bosoms popped out of my dress. You think there are men in this world who haven't seen your bosoms? Like, that line is so funny. Everything with Marla Hooch is great. I'm singing to Nelson, ain't I, baby? It's not intentionally funny, but it is on its face funny. But I take your point that really the men are the comic relief in a lot of this. So I believe we have 3 for Mean Girls and 1 for A League of Their Own. So Mean Girls will continue into the final 4. And with that, we have our final 4. We're going to take a quick break to check in with our father, who invented the toaster strudel. And I don't think he'll be very happy to hear about this. We'll be right back.
Let's be honest. The world is on fire and you could use another distraction, right? For daily doses of nostalgia, our takes on the pop culture zeitgeist, and our panelists' picks from movies, music, TV, and more, follow the great pop culture debate on Blue Sky and Instagram. We're posting the polls you love and the memes you need. Whether you're a Blue Sky early adopter or an Instagram scroller, find us at Great Pop Culture Debate. Keep the conversation going, one post at a time.
And we are back with the final 4 of our best woman-centered comedy film debate. Let's take a look at what we have. It is 1 seed Legally Blonde versus 1 seed Sister Act, 3 seed Pitch Perfect versus 2 seed Mean Girls. If you're thinking to yourself, how did Pitch Perfect end up as a 3 seed? This is the part where I tell you, go and take the polls on our website, because your votes actually determine the 16 that make the bracket and the seeds. So I do think there were some weird seedings in these pairings, and you are the reason that happened. So I hope you feel really good about yourself. All right, let's start with Legally Blonde versus Sister Act. I'd like to start at the top of the pack with Amma. Where are you going on this one?
Given it's a Sister Act. I feel like up until this point, I have not given Sister Act the love that it deserved, because it just was up against things that I felt a little bit more strongly about. I want it on the record that I do really enjoy Sister Act. I think it's a really well done comedy. I think, again, it's an opportunity for actresses who are a little bit older to shine. God, so many folks didn't really know what Mary Wicks can do. My God, she's been hilarious for like 60 years at that point. And then people were like, wow, how good is she? And I was like, guys, the whole time.
Yeah, I was watching, I think, Holiday Inn, which is like from the 1940s, I think. And
Yeah.
she's in it, and she looked exactly the same as
Yeah.
she did in the 1990s. And she's really funny in it.
Yeah, 1994 Little Women. She's great in that.
Yep.
60s era or 70s era Match Game. If you go back and watch, she was a
Perfect.
fairly common recurring panelist and had the time of her life. It was so much fun. But yeah, there's just so many fun things about that movie. So I do want to give credit where credit is due, lest I seem against Sister Act. I am not. I love it a great deal.
Excellent. Joelle, is it going to be Legally Blonde or is it going to be Sister Act for you?
Yes. One of my criteria is like, do the women need men at all for this movie to function? And in both movies, a man caused the inciting incident that caused the movie to happen. In Sister Act, the men are otherwise very irrelevant. In fact, the men are more vocal in the second movie, and to an annoying degree that I want to like cut that out of the movie half the time. And we were Legally Blonde, like there's always a man there, like, you know, not necessarily that important, but continuing to motivate her in little ways to the top. So with that criteria in mind, I'm giving it to Sister Act because women.
I love that criteria. Maggie, is it going to be Legally Blonde or Sister Act for you?
I was originally going to be taking Legally Blonde up here to the final four, but I've got to now say, Sister Act, you all swayed me with your arguments. And yeah, I've got to give it to Sister Act now.
Yeah, you know what? I'll make it a clean sweep. And I do. The thing about Sister Act is it is kind of almost passive in its humor. It's so funny. Like, they're not trying to be funny. They are just effortlessly funny. The Amma check your batteries line is not on its face funny, but the way that they deliver it, and it's not like overdone, it's just so hilarious. All the interactions, everything Maggie Smith does in that movie, everything Whoopi Goldberg does in that movie, it's like really seasoned pros that are just doing the fucking thing because they know exactly what they're doing, and that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Sister Act. Pitch Perfect versus Mean Girls. I would like to start back of the pack. Maggie, where are you going here?
I got to give it to Mean Girls, even though I love Pitch Perfect so much. I think Mean Girls has a bigger grip on society, and I think it's a more quotable movie.
All right. Joelle, is it going to be Pitch Perfect or Mean Girls?
I mean, these are the same in my head right now. Like, I cannot pit these against each other. They have slightly different places in my heart, but they are just right there. Oh boy. If I use the criteria that I just used, but then of course that means 2 women singing in groups competitions are going to the top. Is that a problem? Probably not, because that's my favorite kind of movie.
Absolutely not.
I feel like we don't talk enough about Pitch Perfect anymore, so maybe that's why my heart is going that direction. Same reason we don't talk about Sister Act enough anymore. Yeah, I'm sorry to Mean Girls. I'm sorry to those girls.
Amma, is it going to be Pitch Perfect or Mean Girls for you?
It is Mean Girls for me. I think that the comedy piece of it is a little bit louder in my head for Mean Girls than it is for Pitch Perfect. There are a lot of things that I like about Pitch Perfect. There are a lot of things that it does quite well, but if I'm thinking about it just quickly, music is what comes to the forefront for Pitch Perfect, and it does that beautifully, and it has some comedy. Mean Girls is comedy, jokes, and like very fast jokes, visual jokes, slow burn jokes. Like, in terms of the volume of humor in it, I think it's greater in Mean Girls than it is in Pitch Perfect. So
you just swayed me back over.
Oh.
All right. Well, we're going to make it a clean sweep, too, because I'm going to give it to Mean Girls as well, which gives us a final 2 of Sister Act versus Mean Girls. I'd like to start smack in the middle. Joelle, I know you're hating me for doing this. Is it going to be Sister Act or Mean Girls for the final win?
I think Sister Act is the one that, like, when someone asks me, like, what is a great, like, female-centric movie, I will think of something like Sister Act, something that is, like, at the heart female-centric, whereas Mean Girls, yes, female-centric, but they are fighting half the time, and then they learn lessons at the end. While that's great comedy, and while I love it to pieces and the jokes are great, I think Sister Act, like, is the whole genre in a way. Maybe I'm just throwing hot air. I don't know. This is my excuse right now.
No, that's an interesting argument that, like, Mean Girls is showing kind of the worst qualities in groups of women, and Sister Act is actually showing you, like, what women lifting each other up can actually achieve, because it's kind of on both sides, right? Like
Yeah.
they help Sister Mary Clarence get out of her very difficult situation, or Dolores Van Cartier, if you will, and she teaches them the joys of music and loosening up a little bit. But I'm swaying votes, and I shouldn't be. Maggie, is it going to be Sister Act, or is it going to be Mean Girls for you?
I'm taking Mean Girls all the way, and even though Sister Act has that sweet nostalgia spot for me, Mean Girls takes me back to high school. Going to an all-girl Catholic high school, it really brings me back to that time. That was kind of fun.
All right. And Amma, is it going to be Sister Act or Mean Girls for you?
You know, I think it's going to be Sister Act for me. It is literal sisters doing it for themselves, you know?
Literal sisters.
And I think the point made about the idea that the women are in conflict for most of it, I think that's important, because when I think about a women-led comedy film, I like to see those positives brought up, like friendship and supporting one another and lifting each other up. And again, it's a category of women that we don't always get to see be funny. Like, are there going to be boundless opportunities for folks that are fairly young to show their comedy chops? Yes, because society loves young, hot people. Sister Act is a little bit more rare in that regard, and I'm finding myself, as I get older, valuing that more. So I would love to see something more in that vein kind of take this. Like, let grown women do it. They're perfectly capable.
I probably tipped my habit when I was giving my little spiel there before I send it to Maggie. But I agree with your point, Joelle. Like, I love the idea of honoring ultimately a woman about, or a movie about sisterhood and like people working together rather than at each other's throats. So I'm going to give it to Sister Act. And there you have it. Our pick for the best woman-centered comedy film is Sister Act. Do you agree? Do you think we should be sequestered in a convent like Dolores Van Cartier? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com, or find us on Blue Sky, TikTok, or Instagram. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you to my panel. I'm breaking up pieces of this plastic crown and I'm giving them out to each of you. And thank you for listening. If you love what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Now, let's bend and snap.